What is going on, guys? This is Versus All Gaming with my review of Tokyo Ravens episode 20. And not only was this the best episode in the series by far, but it was actually the saddest one as well, because we got a major character death. And to be honest here, I did not see that coming. And there were like obvious signs that like something was going to happen, but I definitely did not expect this. And so the episode starts off with, we get the flashback of Natsume, and we see that, she actually learns about this tradition. And so she notices that, ever since that she started this, a few things in life are changing. Like, she couldn't play with Harutora anymore because she was saying those times that it happened, it went down drastically. And of course she was missing him to the point where that promise that they made about him becoming her familiar, it was the only thing that was keeping her going. So one day she's looking through this magazine and she spots this beautiful girl, and she recalled that Harutora said that he liked her, I should say. And so she basically makes familiar of this girl. And of course we see right away that it's kind of like Hokuto had like a mind of her own, but she was definitely being controlled by Natsume, as she was mirroring her movements. And so Natsume got this idea about using Hokuto to get closer to Harutora innocently. And of course we all know the story about that, how when she first tried, she was so nervous that she kept failing, but she never gave up. She kept following Harutora around to the last day of summer, and they eventually talked because Harutora gave in. And we all know the story from there, because we know from then on they became friends and all, so that right there is definitely obvious. And so now we have Natsume waking up, and she gets this message from Koyoko, and of course she's reminding her about the promise that they made. And when Natsume looks out the window, and it's just so sunny out there, she said it's the perfect day for fireworks. And then we have Harutora, who actually comes, and he's gonna leave her behind because she would take you too long. But when Natsume does eventually get ready, they plan on going to the store together. And so we see, after that, they get some shaved ice, and they were having a pretty good time. And we see that Harutora was trying to be cute here, as he offered her some, but while doing that, it was melting and it started spilling onto his pants. So that right there just made a mess. So when he went to go take care of that, we actually see a character that we have not seen for a while, and it's that one-armed ogre. And we all know that he's really powerful, but we have not seen him fight just yet. But right away, when he looks at Harutora, he notices a few things, like there's this curse on him, and something is definitely off. And then we have the flashback of him talking to Suzu, who does look a little bit different. I do wonder, what she's planning. But we see that, right now he was saying that no matter what, they should not put the Raven coat on him, because it's a matter of life and death. And when Natsume get a better look at him, she actually recognizes him. And then we see that they meet up with Toji, and she tells him rather than telling Harutora who that guy was, because even though he was right there, it was like Harutora did not pick up on him at all. And so once they're all there together at the festival, we see that everybody they all start meeting up, and they're all having a pretty good time. I will say that they were definitely having fun. And I am glad to see that Koyoko and Natsume, they are very close now. And we even see that Koyoko wanted to call her Natsume-chan, even though it was just for today. But then we go to Takiko, her familiars, and what's her name, and Koyoko's father. And we just see that this reincarnation of Yako, it has to be a boy, because not only was Koyoko's father and grandmother there, but they were saying that when their child was born, it definitely had the male yang spirit. So clearly, that right there could only mean one thing, that Natsume is definitely not this reincarnation. And so we see that, that right there really bothers Takiko. And we just see that, her spirit energy, it kind of get disrupted. At the one point, it looked like her familiars, they were phasing out. But, that right there doesn't really last for long. But now we have Takiko here, and she's planning something, and we have one of her familiars. I forgot his new name, but his old name was Mutobe. And so now that she's walking, she actually plans on, taking this raven coat to Harutora because she plans on awakening him. But you know, later on we'll see how that works out. But eventually, you know, we had everybody here looking at the fireworks, and you know, it was definitely amazing. Like this animation is definitely good. Tokyo Rain always had good animation, so the fireworks, they were definitely done beautifully, and that was to be expected, like always. But we see that Koyoko, she actually gets this pretty good idea where she has Harutora to go get everybody some drinks, and so when he does that, they all want different things. Oh, and Toji, I don't know why he was trying so hard to not reveal that he was like drinking a beer, but it was obvious, you know, that's what it was. I don't know why they did it that way rather than having him come out and say it. That right there was a little bit odd, but he was drinking beer, even though you know he's not old enough yet. That is what he was drinking. So I don't know why they like play it off like that if it seemed that he could drink whenever he wants. But when Harutora actually goes to get the drinks, Natsume actually goes with him, and this right here is the perfect time, you know, to tell him the truth finally, because this right here is what I wanted for so long in this series. But when they left, we have Koyoko here, who was thinking that Takiko, you know, she was late because she was invited, but she never showed up. And we see how late it's getting because now it's nighttime and fireworks were going off. So she basically, you know, missed the whole festival. But now when they were walking, we have Harutora and Natsume, and she was slowly like telling him the truth. Like she gave away these like little hints to Harutora, you know, finally realized it. But right before she could like really confess it herself, we have Takiko here who have finally came along. And so now we have her, you know, speaking this like nonsense because none of them really knew what she was talking about. But like once again, she had used that spell that had first caused, you know, a reaction in Harutora. And this time, you know, it really like takes effect as we see that like mark on the cheek like shoot up into the sky in like some kind of beam. And so right now, like when Natsume actually tried to use the talisman thanks to Cone Warning on him, we have Mutabe appearing once again. And this guy, he just have so many freaking hacks. Because it's like nothing hurts this guy. He's just like freaking invincible because after a while we have everybody coming here and they're all like trying to attack Takiko and Mutabe, he's like blocking everything. It's like he's absorbing all the attacks and they're not really hurting him at all. And then we have a Hokuto who just get kind of like manhandled by this guy. It was crazy because at one point we like see him dodging her so easily, and then he kicked her into the ground with like a single kick. And it goes to show you, you know, how much stronger these guys are now that they're familiars rather than being, you know, mages. And it's just kind of crazy, like the power boost that they get from that. But when Takiko actually unleashes the Raven code, it's not really a code, but it's actually a Raven familiar. And so we see that, you know, it takes hold of Harutora and it possesses him. And we just see him in this badass armor and he has these crow wings. And even though, you know, that right there is not the real form, he did look pretty badass. And so now he kind of goes crazy. Or at least, you know, he trying to resist the armor because clearly something's not right and he flies off. But now we have everybody chasing him and we just have, you know, the armor here, you know, attacking them off. And even though, you know, he was doing like one simple attack where we're shooting these crow feathers, it was definitely effective as we saw. And so eventually, you know, Natsume, she was thinking as to why, you know, it wasn't working like this. And even Takiko knew something wasn't right. And even though she didn't help, clearly things were off. And so Natsume was like thinking back, if Harutora, you know, is this reincarnation, then how come this didn't work properly? And something that like Takiko said definitely gave it away about the person that had first, you know, put this curse on him or whatever, definitely had like another trick up their sleeve. So Harutora, when he was born, he was always a spirit seer, but they had this curse or spell on him to like seal his abilities. And when Natsume had actually, you know, made him into a spirit seer, she only broke a little bit of that spell. So that's why all this time his powers never seemed to be, you know, that develop or seemed to be very unbalanced. But now she gets the idea about to fully, you know, unseal it, and so that his power can be free. And we see that the way she does that, even though, you know, it worked, it kind of cost her life. And so we have her jumping off of her horse, and she's falling toward Harutora, where she's like changing the spell. But of course the armor, it's like shooting all these feathers at her, and they actually impale her body. And I was just like, I was so worried at that point. But we see that, you know, she actually does free Harutora, and she kisses him, and that right there, you know, breaks the spell completely, and now his powers are fully free. So even though his powers were sealed, I believe that Natsume said that he always knew that Harutora was a familiar, but I don't believe that was just correct, because if his powers were sealed, then he wasn't a spirit seer, so he couldn't have known. But at least now he knows the truth. But sadly, we have Natsume dying here because she got impaled by so many feathers. But at least, you know, she finally confessed her feelings, even though it like cost her her life. And we just have Harutora calling out to her. And you know, this episode, it was definitely very emotional, because after watching this series for so long, you get so invested into these characters, and we just see that like Natsume, she's in this dream right now, and she's going through these happy times, where at first, you know, she was like wearing this kimono, and she was gonna make Harutora admit that, you know, she was cute, but she could hear him, you know, calling out to her. And then we go to another scene where like she was in a classroom, and she was thinking about him being familiar now, but he was like always playing around, but she could still hear him. And so the final scene now is like she was in the afterlife, and she was like talking to Hokuto actually, and she told her that she like finally was able to confess her feelings, but she wanted to hear, you know, how Harutora felt as well. So I do hope, now that we know that Harutora is the real reincarnation of Yako, I am hoping that some way with his great magic he can save Natsume. I don't think that she's dead just yet. I do think that, you know, there's a faint chance that she could still be alive, but barely. So I'm hoping that Harutora here could take advantage of that. But I really did not see him. Well, you know, like after they were saying that, you know, that this reincarnation was a male, it did make sense for it to be, you know, Harutora. But till then, you know, I always thought that it was like Natsume, but her powers weren't like fully awakened. But now that we know it's Harutora, like it all makes sense, and now we see why his powers were like never really there. But like I said, this episode, it was amazing. It was the best by far, and very emotional. But as always, please do not forget to like the video and subscribe, because that really helps me out. And you guys take it easy, and I will see you all next time.